that time again. Everybody wants fed. Nice bluish green egg in here. Just something so satisfying about collecting eggs, especially your own eggs. So here's the baler that we need to fix up and get ready for obviously baling season. Now this is a hay liner, obviously a New Holland as you can see there, but it's a hay liner 269. And I bought this, picked this up last summer. Basically, the guy said that it was knocking, or I forget exactly how it was worded, that there was a knock and it was banging and stuff like that, and it wasn't actually, it was just making terrible noise. So I picked it up super cheap and really had no idea what I was getting into as far as fixing it up. When I first got it back, you know, obviously it's a super old baler, 269. I think they were made from, is it 64 to 68? Something like that. Don't quote me, I'll have to double check that, but obviously a 60s model. So it's definitely an old baler. So when I got it back here, unloaded on the trailer, hooked it up to the PTO, and yeah, 100%. There was definitely a bad knock to it, and I apologize for the lighting in here. It's not the best, old fluorescent lighting, as you can see, but so it definitely did knock, and there was like a portion in the stroke where it would like hesitate, and in that hesitation it would catch itself and then slam and bang, and it really was not the best. It didn't sound good, nothing. The guy said he rebuilt the plunger over last winter, so I knew that was done. We basically got to looking around, and again, I had no idea what it was going to take to fix it or do anything with it. So here, up in the front here is obviously your clutch, and you have a slip clutch up in here, and there's a shear pin or a shear bolt. And here that had actually, it wasn't broke, but it was, the nut had came off and it jumped out. So basically that shear pin, that shear bolt had jumped out of the hole, and then there's a catch on the clutch assembly, and basically it goes through all of that, goes through and then holds all that together with the flywheel. Well, that had popped out, and it was when it was spinning so fast on higher RPMs with the PTO, the baler, when it would lose resistance a little bit, was actually speeding up faster, and then that would be that slow hesitation, and then it would catch that shear pin again, not break it somehow, and then catch itself back up, and it just kept doing that, and then that's that slam. I mean, the plunger here, or the finger feeds here, would go up, come back, hesitate, and then slam, because it would catch. So the guy I bought it off of thought maybe it was something had jumped out of adjustment or anything like that, and here it was like a 25-cent bolt. So it actually worked out really well. And I baled probably, I think the counter over here says like 200 and some bales, but that's not right, because we actually were having issues with the bales getting tied, and that led to bales being spit out the back that were only one side had twine on it, and then you had to go back and redo it, and it literally took 2 to 3 times as long. So that's why I have it in the shop here. And I believe one of the problems is the bill hook here, and I can't remember which side. I have to look at it closer. But one of those sides of the bill hooks, which is basically what releases the knot and everything, that there's a really bad wear spot on it that's flat, that I'm thinking every time it, you know, because there's not really a certain number of bales that it does or that it goes to where it's, you know, every 5 bales it's doing it. There's not really a set number where it's doing it every time. So I'm thinking when it just perfectly hits that flat spot, it's not releasing the knot, and then it tears the twine, and then you have a bale that's not tied on one side. And then the other thing that I did find is, and I could rotate it, but you can see, I mean, this is really wore bad here. Back in here on kind of the plunger assembly, there's a bearing that is just completely blown apart. So that's not even riding in this track. So that needs addressed. I need to change that bearing. And I also need to change the bill hook, I believe is where we got to start. And I did notice here, I guess what had happened when all this started for him, because he used it and baled like 5,000 bales, he sucked in a piece of oak wood or something from the field, and to my knowledge, I guess it hit everything. It actually broke one of the finger feeds here. So you can see there's one of them. This side right here does not have one. It broke that completely off, broke the bracket. But it didn't really hinder anything, because there's obviously 2 here yet, 1 there, and then 2 back up here. And quite honestly, the finger feeders are very expensive. I mean, every piece on this baler is super expensive. So I really want to try I obviously know I have to do that bearing for sure. I know I have to do the bill hook because I really don't want to fight with it. There's a weld spot here that I'm assuming when he hit that log, it bound up pretty bad and just snapped a bunch of stuff, so they had to fix it. But that's kind of besides the point. Everything else seems okay. Like I said, the plunger was rebuilt. The only thing that I am kind of concerned about is seems like a lot of play in that, and I don't know that that's really normal. There are bearings and wheels in here on both sides. You can kind of see where this kind of wore because it's been riding on this for so long. So I really don't think that's normal, that's supposed to be doing that. So I may have to address that as well. But basically the way it stands right now, I haven't done anything to it. I cleaned it all up after baling season last year. Blew all the hay and the chaff and everything off of it and out of it so it didn't eat away at anything, and backed it right in here. So I'm gonna bring you guys along for the ride. And you know, even back here in the bale chamber, it's not the best. The metal's all pitted and everything. It's kind of got a couple holes here and there, and as well as all the blocks, the plates are missing. He pulled them out too. So we kind of have those that, you know, again, those would help keep a tight bale and stuff. But again, when I was baling last year, it really didn't make any difference. The biggest problem was it wasn't tying the bales. And it is rigged up that I could put a thrower on here. It doesn't obviously have the belts or any of that stuff, but it does have the assembly and everything there. So I could pretty much do anything with this, but you know, it's kind of, I need to get those problems addressed first. And then I think it's going to be a really good baler because, you know, the minor problems that it does have, and the plunger's already rebuilt with new bearings and everything. So I think we do that stuff, we should be good to go, hopefully. If I really wanted to go all out, I would totally repaint it. I mean, I'd rip this whole thing apart, completely put all new parts and stuff in it. But, you know, till I do that and everything, you'd almost have the price of a newer style baler that doesn't need any of that stuff. So we'll see what happens. I think I know the parts that need replaced for certain and for sure to make this thing run pretty well. But you know, it kind of is what it is at this point. So we'll have to get some parts in and get it rigged up. It's obviously heading towards the end of January now. So we still have a couple months yet, quite a ways out from actually baling anything to where we need to rush at it. But I do need to start thinking about it and getting the parts to do that. So this is pretty much the overview video of the New Holland 269 that we're working on here. And overall, it's a pretty good machine. I'm gonna go over everything, you know, and make it that it works really well. So that's the overview video for you guys. Hope you enjoyed, and there's gonna be plenty more to come. I'm gonna make it into a build or fixing repair series, whatever you wanna call it. And we'll get this thing back out there to where it's spitting out bales. So if you guys wanna see more on this baler and you don't wanna miss out, be sure you hit that subscribe button because there's gonna be more content coming on this, and we have tons more content coming, especially once spring comes here and planting season and all that stuff comes. We're gonna have a ton more. So be sure to stick around, and I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll catch you in the next video.